I have finally roped down the global traveling Heather Smartt from Goldstar. She's got a bunch of titles. Basically, she's like the global brand director, sustainability person, director of all things. Succinctly, what is it you do for the amazing company Goldstar, Heather?
Thanks, Steph. I wear many hats. So I'm the Global Director of Product Development, Sustainability, and Merchandising at Goldstar.
All right. Wow. And before we get into some things that would be relevant to our audience about the global perspective of what's happening and some ways that Goldstar is focused on making products better, because the Why It Matters videos are all about why it matters for suppliers to make better products, why it matters for a distributor to sell made better products, and why it matters for end user buyers to use those products for their brand messaging. And in the end, it's all about good business. And the marketplace is changing and people are asking for better products. So that said, Heather, just quick, like you have a passion for doing things right. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, I think kind of my global positioning has kind of always put me at the forefront of being able to interpret what customers need and then seeing it on the ground. And my positioning being in Europe, much more advanced in legislation, labeling, and material usage. So it's kind of just become a part of who I am living over here and seeing it. I think it's just become who I want to be and what the company, needs to do in order to move forward.
Right. And yeah, I should mention we're doing this from Portugal. It's almost like you're just across town. Zoom
Yes,
technology. Amazing. So I'm finding, and we've been reporting a little bit on the NALC, and I've been working with some other European companies, and this whole global focus and how that's impacting what's happening in the US is something I wanted to talk to you about. Had this discussion with RJ, our
yeah,
Goldstar's marketing manager, because any company, distributor or supplier that is working in Europe is going to fall into this whole idea of EU type standards on sustainability, which
right.
are much higher. And that may not seem important to distributors now, but let's not get blindsided. RJ mentioned this example. A lot of distributors got blindsided when this legislation came down that you can't sell promo products to the pharma industry. And people are going, whoa, that was a huge shock. A lot of business was lost. So part of what we want to talk about here is let's be aware of what's happening. Any thoughts on that? Or
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that? I know you have thoughts on it.
I have plenty of thoughts on that. So yeah, so labeling. So just so everyone knows, Goldstar, we keep our stock globally. Everything that's in Europe and North America can be exchanged. We always test everything from a compliance and labeling standpoint so that we can move and shift inventory as the customers need it. But yes, we have strict what we call internally greenwashing guidelines. And those guidelines basically create a set of rules that we share within the company that keep us using the right terminology globally, labeling things a certain way. Just an example is, something that might be a prohibited claim in Europe is the use of eco-friendly or biodegradable. So when you make a bold statement like that, it's important that you have all the documentation to back it up, but also note that in certain countries, that terminology is actually banned. So always having the proper vernacular when you are speaking with a client, a customer globally, and then obviously carrying out those guidelines that we've established globally have been a huge guiding force for how we're managing, all the different legislations and directives that are coming out.
Right, and to bring it into focus for distributors of all sizes here in the US, why it matters, and I think we're seeing a trend. I know we're seeing a trend where our end user buyers, particularly the next generation of buyers that are more savvy and more focused than old guys like me, who like, I didn't really get it until a few years ago. I think it's all about good business. And so
Yeah.
the distributor is going to want to work with companies, and there's so many of them that are really making this investment in doing, better products because it is good business. And so it's important that we understand that selling made better products is good business. Let's talk a little bit about that. Gold Star, there may be a perception that might be different from Gold Star, and I know you're moving into this area. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's great. In terms of our, we've established a 3-year ESG roadmap. So that's something new. We're branching out in new categories. I think traditionally we've been only known for writing instruments, but we're now developing and expanding in other categories. Our 3 main categories now are writing instruments, drinkware, and bags. But a lot of what we're doing is not just the work on the product material. So having recycled materials is important, but there's a lot of internal capabilities and strengths that we've been implementing over the last year. So, for example, when it comes to carbon emissions, we are now in the process of measuring all of our products in our portfolio. So we will have full carbon emissions analysis by a third-party company. And we're not just using that as marketing. For us, it's more about doing better. So we'll have our carbon emissions for every product in our portfolio, and then the goal is to reduce those year over year. So making better decisions with which factories we decide to use, taking into account that little things like water consumption and whether or not somebody's using solar panels versus they're on a grid system, all of that impacts our carbon emissions. So our carbon emissions goal is to be carbon neutral by 2040. So there's a lot of internal things, that we're doing that perhaps maybe some of our customers don't know. Another one just off the top of my head is, working with third-party organizations on transparency and traceability of our products. So you'll see that coming soon where, there will be different things within the product portfolio that will have traceability and full transparency to our customers. And then finally, just doing little things like eliminating problematic plastics from our line. So we've eliminated PVC and polystyrene from our product portfolio as well as our packaging. So all of those initiatives are things that we're doing on a daily basis, but don't necessarily, our customers might not be aware of. And RJ's been doing an amazing job of pulling all this information together and communicating that to our customers.
And why it matters once again is that this is where we're going, okay, as an industry, and distributors just need to be aware of it, because as I keep pounding home, it's about business. I love Rod Brown, my dear friend, global brand ambassador. He says, you got to make money. In the end, it's about, selling products and working with companies that, they're going to help you. And I believe that I have been interviewing some amazing leaders of fantastic companies that are truly passionate about doing the right thing. And that's the other side of it. Yes, it's good business. Like, well, why didn't Gold Star do this 5 years ago? Well, maybe it wasn't perhaps top of the mind. I don't know. But now the focus is there. It is good business. It is responsible business. And really, I say this before and too much. I think some people are just turned off by the word sustainability. It's like, I don't care, And but today's savvy distributor needs to be on top of what's happening in this trend.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the last word. What would you like to close with, Heather?
Sure. Yeah. No, I would just talk a little bit about, first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't want to plug Gold Star. So I would say check out simplygoldstar.com. Check out our Made Better collection. It's underneath all of the main category tabs.
And I want to jump in there. You do have some great information there, by the way.
Good. So yes, there's great information. The marketing team has pulled together a lot of collateral. So there's blogs and lots of information on this topic. Don't forget our simplicity model. So it's a little bit different than everyone in the industry. We have all-inclusive pricing. So that's the price of our product includes the freight and the setup and the decoration. So just remember that on these 3 categories, drinkware, bags, and writing. And then finally, I think we've been very strategic. One thing that we haven't talked about is any of the brands that we work with. So we partnered with Ocean Bottle, which is a retail brand. And we were very cognizant about our first brand partnership and who we wanted to enter the market with. And this brand really speaks not only to, you know, having a nice product that is a brand that's sitting on your desk year in and year out, but it's also engaging. So for every piece of drinkware that's sold under Ocean Bottle, they're collecting, you know, essentially 1,000 water bottles. But also there's an NFC chip built into the bottom of the drinkware piece that you can pair with a Smartt. So it's an interactive brand that you can use daily. So every time you refill that piece of drinkware, you can track that, and they will continue to donate plastic collection. So it's something that's engaging. It's not something that goes in your cupboard and is used, you know, periodically. If you're using it daily, you're also doing good by the planet by the consistent recycling that's happening just by refilling, you know, your water bottle or your tumbler. So that was a strategic partnership that we entered this year, as well as their give back. So a lot of these, you know, give back companies give anywhere from 1% to 3% of their revenue, which is great. I would never speak ill will of that. I think that's a great opportunity, and anything that's doing well for the planet is a good thing. However, one of the reasons we paired with Ocean Bottle was because they're giving back 15% of their revenue. And that's going towards plastic collections and various different organizations. So that was a huge partnership, and why we paired with them. And then finally, I would just recommend to check out our Coastal Threads collection. Our Coastal Threads collection is made of reprieve material. So if you're not familiar with reprieve, it's, you know, it's retail shops, and it's a fabric that's made out of ocean-bound plastics. So these plastic bottles are collected within 50 kilometers of the ocean and would otherwise end up in the ocean. And they're used to, you know, they're spun down into fiber and used to make the fabric that is reprieve. So all of this fiber is verified. There's tracers in it, as well as it has to be certified at the raw material supplier, then again after post-production. So it's a great initiative. It's a really beautiful bag collection that we've received really great feedback on. So I would encourage everyone to check out the Coastal Threads collection.
Wow. Well, so for those who didn't know that about Goldstar, and I guarantee you most people don't, they might think of Goldstar as a big company, the idea that you are so focused, laser focused on doing the right thing and in the area of sustainability. Good job. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to hearing more. We invite you to share some of this content on the new branded merch network LinkedIn community over there. You know, the idea is to generate some conversations on this and share the good work that people are doing over there. So thanks so much for being a part of sharing why it matters.
You're right. Thanks again. Thanks for having me, Jeff.